Let me be completely honest with you right now. Most people will watch this video, feel inspired for about 10 minutes, go back to their normal routine, and wake up 5 years from now in the exact same financial situation they are in today. And that is not me being harsh. That is just the painful, uncomfortable truth about how most people approach money. But you are still here. And that already tells me something different about you. So let's talk about what is actually happening in your life right now, because I think I know more about your situation than you might expect. You work hard, genuinely hard, you show up, you put in the hours, you try to be responsible, but at the end of every single month you look at your bank account and something feels off. Like no matter how much effort you put in, the number never really grows the way you thought it would. Maybe you have a little saved, maybe you have almost nothing saved. Either way, there is this quiet, persistent feeling sitting in the back of your mind that you are somehow falling behind, even though you cannot quite put your finger on exactly where things went wrong. And the really painful part? Nobody ever taught you this stuff. Think about that for a second. You spent over a decade in school. You learned about things you have never once used in real life. But investing, compound interest, building actual wealth over time, not one class, not one lesson. You were handed a diploma and basically told to figure it out on your own. That is not a personal failure. That is a systemic one. And it has cost millions of people years, sometimes decades of financial progress they can never get back. Here is what nobody tells you about money. The people who are building real wealth are not necessarily smarter than you. They are not working harder than you. The only real difference, is that they started earlier, and they understood a handful of principles that most people never learn. And today, right now, we are going to fix that. Before we go deeper, if you are serious about accelerating this process and you want structured, step-by-step guidance that goes far beyond what any single video can cover, we have related programs linked in the video description below. People who are truly committed to changing their financial trajectory are already using them. If that is not you, no pressure at all. Keep watching and take what you can from this. But if something inside you already knows you need more than inspiration, that link is there for a reason. Now, let us talk about what investing actually is, because most people have a completely distorted picture of it. When most people hear the word investing, they picture someone in a suit staring at flashing stock charts, making split-second decisions, sweating through enormous risks. That image is wrong. That is trading. That is gambling dressed in a nice outfit. Real investing is something completely different, and it is something anyone can do. Investing simply means putting your money into something that has the potential to grow over time without you having to constantly work for it. That is it. The most powerful force in investing is something called compound growth. And I want you to really feel this concept because once you understand it, everything changes. Imagine you plant a single seed. In the first year, it grows into a small plant. Then that plant produces its own seeds. Now those seeds grow into more plants. And those plants produce even more seeds. The growth accelerates not because you are doing more work, but because the growth itself is generating more growth. Money works the exact same way. When your money earns a return, and that return gets reinvested, you start earning returns on your returns. Over time, this creates a snowball effect that becomes almost mathematical magic. The number that most investors work with when thinking about long-term market growth is somewhere around 7 to 10% annually on average, adjusted over time. Now, that might not sound exciting at first, but run that forward over 10, 20, 30 years, and the numbers become genuinely life-altering. The reason most people miss this is not because they lack money, it is because they wait. They say, I will start when I have more to invest, and while they wait, the most valuable resource they have, which is time, quietly slips away. Every single year you delay is not just one lost year of growth, it is one lost year of compounding growth. The early years of investing are often the most powerful because they set the foundation everything else is built on. Here is what consistently separates people who build wealth from people who do not. And this is the part where most financial content completely glosses over the emotional reality of the situation. Building wealth is not just a math problem, it is a behavior problem. Most people know they should be saving more. Most people know they should be investing. But knowing and doing are two completely different things. And the gap between those two things is where financial dreams go to die. The behavior that changes everything is this. Pay yourself first. Before you pay any bill, before you buy anything, before you do anything else with your paycheck, a portion of that money goes toward your future. Not what is left over, not whatever is convenient. A committed, automatic, non-negotiable portion. When this becomes a habit, something profound starts to happen. You stop thinking of investing as something you do if you have extra money. You start thinking of it as the first priority, and everything else gets built around it. This is one of the most powerful psychological shifts in personal finance, and the research behind it is overwhelming. People who automate their investing almost universally outperform people who try to invest whatever is left at the end of the month. because there is almost never anything left at the end of the month without intention. Now let's talk about where to actually put your money as a beginner, because this is where people get paralyzed. The answer for most beginners is simpler than the financial industry wants you to believe. Broadly diversified, low-cost index funds. These are funds that track entire markets rather than trying to pick individual winners. Instead of betting on one company doing well, you are essentially betting that the entire economy grows over time, which historically, it does. The advantage here is not just simplicity, it is also cost. Many actively managed funds charge high fees that quietly eat into your returns year after year. Low-cost index funds can cost a fraction of that. Over decades, that difference in fees alone can translate into significant amounts of money. The other thing you need to understand as a beginner is that market volatility, meaning the up and down movement of prices, is not your enemy. For long-term investors, downturns are actually opportunities. When prices fall, you are essentially buying more shares of the same fund at a discount. This is why panic selling during market dips is one of the most financially destructive things an investor can do. The investors who build real lasting wealth are not the ones who time the market perfectly. They are the ones who stay consistent through the difficult moments when every emotion in their body is screaming at them to stop. This is also why having the right knowledge structure, the right support, and the right framework matters so enormously. When things feel uncertain, your education becomes your anchor. Here is the brutal reality about where most people end up financially. And I want you to sit with this for a moment. The average person spends 40 or more years working hard and still retires either completely dependent on others or forced to keep working long past when their body wants to stop. Not because they were lazy, not because they were failures, but because nobody ever showed them a different path and they kept waiting for a better time to start. That different path exists. It is not complicated. It is not reserved for the wealthy or the privileged. It is available to anyone willing to take the first step. The question is not whether you can do this. You clearly can. The question is whether you will take what you now know and actually act on it. If you are ready to stop leaving your financial future to chance, and you want real, structured guidance that walks you through every step of building wealth the right way, the programs in the video description below exist specifically for people who are done waiting. Not everyone who sees that link will take action. Most will scroll past it. But the ones who click it and go further are the ones who tend to look back months from now completely grateful they did not wait one more day. Your future does not build itself, but it can start today.